Hey guys, what's up? So another lovely day here in Beijing, sitting at the same spot as yesterday in 798, and again it's a lovely spring day. I'll show you again. This lovely courtyard here. There's my pink one-eyed buddy with his hands down his pants, looking good. Blue sky, birch trees. You hear the birds chirping. I have the coffee right here. Cold brew from Kenya. Actually, in Beijing in general, they have the best coffee in the world, which is pretty funny, but it's true. They have many of these small, like artisan coffees. So even Starbucks, they have to go with the special reserve brand to really have a chance to win over the taste buds of the coffee connoisseurs here in China. Actually, today I'm here a little bit earlier than yesterday. The reason is that my wife told me today this morning that we would have a visitor, one of her friends, and I asked why. And she said, well, I'm gonna try to hook her up with this other guy and they will have a date today in our apartment. It's the first date. And of course in China that's very common because very often like couples meet through introductions. And I knew her friend. She's actually quite nice lady, mid-30s, doctor. She has a kid, 7 years old, so she's divorced. So I asked her who the guy was, 'cause I was a bit curious. And she said, oh, it's a foreigner. And I said, okay, who? And she said, oh, you don't know him. It's this American guy, he's an English teacher. And I said, okay, so she wants to date a foreigner. And she said, yeah, I guess. And I said, okay, does she know about foreigners? So like how normally they see dating and everything, and it's a bit different than Chinese. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, most foreigners just want to play around, you know. And she said, no, he's very serious. He told me he wants to get married. And I said, well, they say that to get what they want, right? You don't know that? And she was like, well, why did you marry me? And I said, because I wanted a baby. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Most foreigners I know in China, they're not too serious. They kind of enjoy the life here, and I guess I'm one of the few exceptions, at least in my social group. Anyway, for today's topic. About racism in China. So there's a few videos today or recently on YouTube about rampant racism against foreigners in China, especially because of the coronavirus. There's some examples of how there's a guy called Winston Serpent Sere, one of the most famous vloggers. He used to live in China for a long time, now he's in the US, still vlogging basically about China though, because that's his main theme. He said he heard from some friends in China that they were called foreign virus, American virus. Somebody was stopped in a subway and called virus by some strange lady. And what I heard from people on LinkedIn and other social media, like expats living in China right now, is that there's some sign of some shopping mall saying that foreigners can't go inside, or that foreigners have to do some like extra registration to go inside. And it's also, of course, the situation with all the Africans, Nigerians mainly, in Guangzhou, who are being kicked out of their hotels and hostels. And in terms of the first issue about like open discrimination on the streets and so on, honestly, I haven't heard about that. I've been out and about these weeks. Nobody pointed at me, nobody tried to avoid me, nobody called me a virus. I know a lot of expats in China. I'm a member of like a number of WeChat groups, including 40, 50 expats in China right now. Nobody mentioned being called a virus or being treated racistly in an open way by anybody. On the contrary, I would say things are like normal, basically. In terms of the signs on shopping malls, this might be true. And I think that's a little bit strange, but again, it is the way it is. There's been a big fuss in the media lately about returnees coming back to China from overseas and having the virus. Some people say that's a way to scapegoat foreigners in case there's a second wave because the economy is open up. I can't comment about that, but it is a little bit concerning. But anyway, it's no big deal. If there's a sign like that, then just don't go there. You know, find a different shopping mall or a different park or whatever. If you live in China, you have to accept China for what it is. We all know China is not the same as Europe or the US, and we still choose to live here. And you somehow have to accept the good with the bad. In terms of what's happening with the Nigerians in Guangzhou and South China, that's of course really sad and unfortunate. But there has been a, let's say, negative feeling towards them anyway for a long time in Guangzhou. So that's nothing new. This might simply be the, an excuse to really make a move against them by the local government, and that's sad. It's not so much about the virus, though. I think it's more something that's been brewing for a long time. So, in conclusion, I would say don't trust all the most virulent reports about racism. They're not really quite true. Although, of course, there is some smaller things happening, but nothing serious. That's what they say. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I hope the date goes well in my apartment today, and I guess I will go back there when they finish and hear the news. Take care, guys. Bye bye.